Musk made his money differently than most of today's famous billionaires. Instead of one amazing idea, he had several good ones. And instead of a bunch of clever, safe investments, he made just a few spectacularly risky ones. But there was a method to his madness, even if it wasn't apparent to many at the time. The total of those bets made Musk the richest private citizen on the planet this year, and their world-altering effects. From privately launched space missions to an electric vehicle titan that has left the auto industry desperate to catch up, have landed Musk as Time's 2021 Person of the Year. Musk's family was well off. He had an early aptitude with computers, designing his own video game at 12 years old. When he was 17, he left for Canada to escape military service in South Africa's apartheid regime. Attending Queen's University in Ontario, in 1992, he transferred to the University of Pennsylvania, where he studied physics and business. Then it was on to Silicon Valley, and briefly to grad school. Musk enrolled in a physics PhD program at Stanford, then dropped out after 2 years. Young entrepreneurs were starting to realize that the internet, a newfangled web of connections between computers, might be more than a playground for nerds, and Musk wanted to try his luck. Together with his brother Kimball, Musk founded a company called Zip2 as an online business directory, a kind of web-enabled Yellow Pages with maps, a nifty idea back in the mid-90s. Elon and Kimball recruited investors and brought on outside help to run the company, which made deals with publishers like the New York Times. In 1999, they sold the Zip2 to Compaq, a then-declining computer manufacturing giant, for $307 million. Musk netted a cool $22 million from the Zip2 sale, and was already on to his next venture. Co-founder of a payment startup called Confinity, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk was a friend of his. Musk had plowed his millions into starting another online banking startup called X.com. The two companies would merge in March 2000, forming a business that eventually became PayPal. Musk was named CEO, but in September, while he was on vacation, the board fired him, replacing him with Thiel, partly due to a disagreement over switching the company's servers. Musk still had a stake in the company though, and when eBay bought PayPal for $1.5 billion in 2002, Musk netted a $180 million mega fortune from the deal. Musk didn't end up relaxing with all the things his millions could buy. In 2002, he founded SpaceX with the almost ludicrous mission of colonizing Mars. The next year, he sank an initial investment of more than $6 million into Tesla, which was then not much more than a pair of founders and a vision of electric sports cars. Electric cars, like homemade rockets, were a graveyard of well-intentioned investment before Musk barreled into an industry in which he had no academic training. For decades, legacy automakers had stymied the development of electric vehicles, lobbying against fuel efficiency standards and filing lawsuits against state mandates to develop the cars. Tesla's business was sustained in part by generous support from the federal government, though the company got off the ground before it became available. A $465 million federal loan in 2010 helped prop up Tesla at a crucial juncture, and its customers have benefited from hefty tax incentives. The company planned to take advantage of new lithium-ion batteries, which were both light and energy-dense, to revolutionize the struggling field. At the time, lithium-ion cells were only being used in small electronic devices, and one of Tesla's central innovations was scaling them up, which enabled it to create an electric vehicle with a far greater range than previous electric cars had been able to achieve. Musk believed from the start that advances in lithium-ion battery technology made long-range electric vehicles possible. In practice, it wasn't that easy. Tesla's first decade was plagued by unmet deadlines, technical snafus, and cost overruns. During the 2008 financial crisis, cash was so tight the company came within days of missing payroll. With a dwindling fortune, Musk borrowed $20 million from SpaceX to loan the company, cajoled another $20 million out of investors, and raised the price of the company's debut sports car to survive. Tesla ran into trouble as its engineers realized its prototype battery packs were likely to catch fire. It was a potentially company-ending discovery if we couldn't fix it, says former Tesla Chief Technical Officer J.B. Straubel. Later, Tesla almost went bankrupt during the Great Recession of 2008. Eventually, Musk's investments began to pay off in 2008. SpaceX secured a $1.6 billion deal with NASA, while Tesla in 2012 began cranking out its first mass-market car, the Model S. Today, thanks in large part to Musk's pace setting, auto companies from VW to Nissan are jostling to invest billions in electric vehicles. Their about-face is driven less by altruism than by a dawning realization that Musk is eating their lunch. Musk and Tesla forced the change, says Michelle Krebs, an analyst at Cox Automotive. He proved that there was a market for EVs. Tesla is a behemoth now, controlling about 2/3 of the US electric vehicle market. This has equally made Musk arguably the biggest private contributor to the fight against climate change. Had the 800,000 Teslas sold in the last year been gas-powered cars, they would have emitted more than 40 million metric tons of CO2 over their lifetimes, equivalent to the annual emissions of Finland. But EVs may ultimately be less important to the climate fight than the central innovation that made them possible: batteries. Tesla has repurposed the lightweight energy-dense cells that power its cars for huge grid-scale batteries that provide essential backup for renewables. Demand for Tesla's smaller home-based Powerwall, which can store electricity from rooftop solar systems, has spiked as consumers look for alternatives to the grid, driven by everything from February's Texas power shortage to the fire risk in California that has led to power shutoffs. In some cases, the software enables utilities to tap into home energy reserves when the grid is strained, instead of turning on high-polluting standby generators. SpaceX is the undisputed leader in private space exploration. The goal overall has been to make life multiplanetary and enable humanity to become a spacefaring civilization, Musk says. Not because it would be profitable, but because it would be exciting, at least to him. And the next really big thing is to build a self-sustaining city on Mars and bring the animals and creatures of Earth there. How Musk can believe something so improbable is easier to understand when you learn just how unlikely his current spacefaring success has been. Before it was America's passport to the solar system, SpaceX nearly bankrupted Musk. Its first rocket, the Falcon, failed 3 times before reaching orbit in 2008. The company proceeded to create the Falcon 9, and then the Falcon Heavy, which has 3 clusters of 9 engines. Clustering engines was previously considered a bad idea, because of the number of moving parts that can go explosively wrong, one of the many assumptions Musk upended. Success has not dampened Musk's appetite for risk. After being lifted into space by a Falcon Super Heavy, his next rocket, the Starship, will light up for the moon, land there, take off, and return to Earth, with no stages expended on the lunar journey. This so-called single-stage-to-orbit model has been the white whale of rocket designers for generations. In test flights, 4 prototype Starships exploded on landing, before a successful test last May. For NASA and most private aerospace companies, a single crash is a setback that can take years to recover from. SpaceX works more like a Silicon Valley startup, where the goal is to fail quickly and iterate. He's put money into new companies as well, and in 2016, Musk started the Boring Company, which digs tunnels, and neurotechnology startup Neuralink. Both are now worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Those 2 most recent ventures are illustrative examples of the mindset that created Musk's fortune. They're both highly speculative endeavors. Neuralink is trying to develop telepathic interfaces with machines. The Boring Company aims to revolutionize infrastructure. There's not much chance either will pay off in the long run, experts say. But big bucks risk-taking is Musk's bread and butter. That same approach, throwing millions of dollars at impossibly difficult projects, is what turned Musk from a lucky kid with a dot-com fortune into the wealthiest person on the planet, or at least the wealthiest private citizen. Now that you've watched the video, what do you think about Elon Musk and all of his inland billion-dollar partnerships with Canada? Let us know in the comments section below.